Good evening, citizens. We're doing an audio check really quick because Rev is terrible at his job. Anyway, I'm devoid. This is Jewel Baju here. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He's our special guest today, and this is my dad, Rev Atheist. This is Redacted, a live podcast where we talk about Star Citizen and its development. How you doing today, Jewel? Say something.
What's up,
Give us
man?
an audio test. Good. So, Rev, what are we talking about today? First episode in a couple of weeks, I think. Woof. Yeah, it's there is a lot going on. Admittedly, I have not had a lot of a Rev. You're not coming through on the stream. I'm gonna just kind of mimic what Rev just said, since apparently he's not coming through. We're talking 323 today. It just came out on live, I think, yesterday? Maybe the day before. Anyway, it's brand new. We're talking 323 and also 323.1, which is now out in PTU, which is leading up to Invictus. I was just saying that I haven't had a whole lot of time to play 323 yet outside of the PTU, but I hear things are going well. Jewel, I think you're playing it right now, right?
Yeah, I'm playing it right now.
What are your impressions so far with 323?
Well, it's definitely running a lot smoother. The gameplay is good. I like it a lot. There's some good. You can see the improvement, the work that they're doing. So it's running better than 322, obviously. As far as with Vulkan, the new Vulkan system, I'm really liking that a lot. The HDR and I'm running HDR 4K. I know a lot of people don't, but I run HDR 4K, so the game is looking better than it ever has. Um, so that's always good. And then, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking about the basic stuff right now.
So I think part of what you mentioned, Vulkan, right? The Vulkan API is a different graphics renderer, right? I think
Right. Yeah.
it's something new that they just put in to Star Citizen. Vulkan's been around for a little bit, but has not been supported in Star Citizen. And I tried it in PTU. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty shitty. Uh, it was the textures on the planets weren't loading in right. I had all kinds of colors coming in and out, and lighting was super funky. And that's kind of where I left it. I didn't kind of mess with it after that. Is it doing better now?
As far as I'm aware, it seems to be pretty good. Matter of fact, even when I was using it on the EPTU, it was pretty good for me. Like I said, I, I've I've also seen there was a couple of guys earlier in the org that were having some issues with it, where it was like resetting their resolution settings to different resolutions, so they couldn't access their inventory screens because their resolution was too small for their actual screen.
That's
So
weird.
yeah,
That is
so
strange.
that was happening. So stuff is happening with it where it's not working for everybody, but it definitely is working at certain points. Like I said, it's been working for me.
Yeah, so I mean, part of that, I don't know if that could be the Vulkan renderer. I was so busy dealing with the audio, I don't know if you guys mentioned the Vulkan renderer, but I've tried switching over to that myself, and it seems to be working fine for me.
Well, I'm glad. I might have to try. I just upgraded to a new AMD card recently. Oh, thank you, Valkian. We appreciate the support.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thanks for joining us.
Oh no, we've lost Jewel.
Yeah, my webcam just cut off. Hold on one moment.
But yeah, I just got a new AMD card, and so I'm kind of hoping to try out the Vulkan. I loaded in for about an hour today. Just moved some stuff around. It did feel smoother though, which is really good. I know that with the replication layer split and things like server recovery, they implemented all of those in 323, and overall it has increased performance. So I mean, I'm getting higher frames. I've probably seen people have been talking about massive frame increases. I've really only gotten probably 10 to 20%, but even still, that's pretty big. In terms of actual gameplay, I know that we have had a couple of podcast episodes where we've talked about the things that are coming in, like the Copians are in, Master Modes is in.
Yep.
There's some new contracts for, I think, cargo hauling that are in. Am I correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen the fauna. I haven't seen the animals yet, but I have seen some of the cargo. I don't know if it was cargo missions. I wanted to do some cargo missions, and it definitely gave me something very different, whereby I had to go find some boxes in hostile locations to pick them up, and they were, they were kind of cool. I died because the AI is way more responsive, and they killed me with a quickness because they were very good. What else were you asking about? There were other things.
Just general gameplay changes or updates or additions.
Yeah, so there's that. I mean, they've got the underground facilities, the you can
The
go-
distribution centers.
distribution
Yeah.
centers. Yeah, you can go to those. Those are pretty damn cool.
Are there missions around the distribution centers yet? Do we know?
I think they're supposed to be,
looked?
but I haven't seen any missions that are specific to them yet.
Okay. I know that when we were in PTU, we kind of messed around and stormed Dupree, and it was a lot of fun. Very, very desyncy in PTU, and I'm not sure where they've gotten with desync in live servers yet, but I don't know, man. I think
Yeah, my battery just died on my camera. I don't mean to interrupt you.
You're what?
Oh, that's okay.
The battery on my camera died, so if you
Oh,
want,
is that what's going on? Oh, man.
Yeah. I guess you could switch it to my Discord image for a minute until I figure this out.
Yeah, I'll
it'll
figure
be all right.
something out as we feel free to talk, but we'll get it.
I don't know. I just charged it like last night, so I don't know why it's dying. It's dead now. I barely used it.
Valkian, what do you mean? Did we conjure Rev from beyond the void? I don't understand. You talking about his voice is coming through weird?
Yeah, it's just a little extra feedback from Jewel is all.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Altier says the adjustment to the flight system and how they made combat feel so more weighted got interdicted in an arrow and had to fight hard against a Cuddy Black. Controlling that was so harder. Altier, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It sounds to me like a good thing, because I imagine if you're going up against a ship with more armor and more guns, then it should... What is going on here? There you go.
I love it. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's fine. That's our old logo, but that's okay.
Oop.
Yeah, ultimately felt like the skill of controlling the ship was more rewarding. Wow, okay, so interdictions are up. Cool. Yeah, so master modes, right?
Master modes, yeah, that's something. I'm actually kind of digging the way the master modes are working for me. So I'm not a combat guy, right? But I do like to do the odd bounty, the odd, mercenary mission that requires some level of flying or ship around. So it's I don't know. It kind of makes sense, this idea that I have to shut down my offensive and defensive capabilities to really take advantage of the ability to move and switch back and forth. And I like that it's not too slow to make the switch. I know initially on the PTU, it was a pretty slow process to go from one to the other. At this point, it's actually pretty quick. So
It is still
it's slower to
Still
go to
vulnerable,
nav than
though.
it is to go to combat, which I think was probably an intentional thing.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, so if you switch to
Because
combat
it
mode, it's
means
like,
that-
boom.
that- Yeah, you can put your defenses up really quick, but if you want to leave, then you have to be vulnerable for an extended amount of time, and that makes sense, right? Because if you were to get interdicted and you have to wait 10 seconds before your shields are spooled up and your guns are ready to go, then you're fucked.
Yeah,
right. That's way too long.
Yeah, there was one fight that I was in, again, with NPCs, where I chose to run. And it actually worked out pretty well because they were still in combat mode. I immediately switch and just punch it, which gave me at least like a second or two head start getting away, but at a high rate of speed. So I was able to get far enough away, do a jump, boom, I'm clear. So it was good.
That's good. I will say, I have a little bit of experience in master modes so far. My only complaint and maybe I'll have more. But so far my only complaint is that when you go to like nav mode, it automatically spools the quantum drive. And I know that that's the point, but I don't want to have the UI up all the time.
Yeah, I don't want to constantly be calibrating every time I accidentally hover over a point. Right? It's like, oh, shut up. It's like,
so I mean, yeah, like I get the idea. You switch to nav mode. Yeah, it kills your shields to spool the quantum drive. He says, dude, I fly sticks, bro.
yeah, we'll just have to find where if you could turn off the quantum drive while in nav mode, which is weird, then we just need to find the keybind and put it in. Oh, look at that. We'll hide the flame.
Okay, I'll find it, Cyber. I might get in touch with you to see if I can find that, because I looked, I couldn't find it. I ended up just like switching to scan mode so I could get rid of all the fucking quantum markers because it was pissing me off.
There you go.
Yeah, the camera's probably gonna die again, but
okay.
just charge it up for like 2 seconds and then put it back in there.
Yeah, that's okay, because I can quickly turn the flame back on. See, watch, boom.
Yeah, yeah. Just do that whenever you want me to shut up. Just
yeah. Like, well, he has a different button for that one.
Face. Yeah.
Yeah, if
But
I want you to shut up, I'll just change it to the one with just me and the void.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll just cut you out completely.
There we go. Also, you wear flat caps too. I like that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you didn't expect me to come in here with a flat cap on.
I did not expect that. It was a pleasant surprise.
All right. Well, no, I was gonna say about master modes. Like, I didn't want to interrupt you guys while you were.
Oh, you're good. You have to sometimes.
No worries, no worries. I was just saying that for Rev was talking about, he's not heavy into combat and stuff like that. That's primarily all I do is try to PvP. That's really what I'm about doing crim shit, if I can say that. That's like what I like to do. So, pirating and fighting against other players, I really enjoy doing that. So, it means a lot to me, like that they have a good flight model. So I don't want them to mess up the flight model too much, and they have done a lot of changes to it. It's a lot different now. It's a lot slower. It's a lot more difficult to actually like get something going now. Like it's like making the transition from like navigating into fighting. I like that part, but the fighting itself is just we obviously Lieutenant or Hedonist, and I, we do a lot of PvP together, and whenever we get engaged into combat now, numbers matter, firepower matters, and also the fact that bigger guns matter, because really it's about who can out DPS who, because flying your ship, it's just flying your ship now. It doesn't actually matter. Like there's hardly any skill involved in flying your ship in combat anymore.
Yeah,
because you don't have thrusters to maneuver your ship as much as you'd like. Like you can't boost around an enemy ship or anything like that. Like you can't change positions. You can't dictate fights. Everything is really, really like flat and even across the board for most ships, which makes it to where it's more of a dick measuring contest. I got bigger guns than you. I got more firepower than you. Are you going to be able to withstand my firepower, or are you just going to blow up because that's kind of what I see it going to right now. It is right now.
I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree with you for a couple of reasons. One, if you and I are in space in the same ship fighting, and I have better guns than you, you will whoop my ass. Every fucking time. Because there's skill involved in staying on target. There just is. One of the things that I think is interesting that a lot of people complain about is that reduction in speed, which is what you're kind of describing, right? That reduction in speed keeps you in close, and that skill ceiling has been brought down. A lot of people are saying that, but staying on target.
My camera went out again.
Yep, that's cool. Staying on target is still staying on target, and for me at least, it's still tough, right? So the whole idea of jousting, one of the arguments that I heard is that people wound up jousting if you're just not that good, right? It's the people who are not good that wind up jousting. Well, I see jousting constantly, which tells me the vast majority of people that I would wind up with or against who are jousting me and still whooping my ass, I guess that means they're not that good. So if that's the case, then it seems to me like a fairly decent change to be able to bring them in, kind of, force that fight to be in closer. I don't know. It's just my observations.
There's also you mentioned that it's a dick measuring contest in the sense of if you have bigger guns, then you just win. I see what you're saying. I mean, if there's two ships of a similar class, and if it comes down to you have one gun more than me or one size up for me, then you're going to win. That I can see where that would be frustrating, right? But
that's also going to be
if you're in a bigger ship that has bigger guns, you should have a better chance at winning, because that's the whole idea behind spending more money and having more crew to have a bigger ship with more guns.
Yeah, if you have if you're up against somebody with an equivalent skill, then the equipment should matter. That's exactly right.
Right, exactly. But if you, for instance, if you're in like a Gladius going up against a Constellation, that should be a tough goddamn fight for a Gladius pilot, because the Constellation
a tough fight, but not a unwinnable fight. Just completely
it should be,
flat out unwinnable.
It should be close to unwinnable, because you're basically
it's a 3v1.
If you're by yourself in a Gladius,
what I mean is, I see what you guys are getting at, but what I mean is like, just like when you think about another type of game where it's a strategic pieces. We're talking about PvP, right? So we're talking about player versus player, and in a player versus player environment, in my particular opinion, is that there needs to be room for outplay potential. If there's no room for outplay potential, then the game is not going to succeed in the PvP arena. Like nobody is going to want to even fly a fighter at all if it's just going to be completely and utterly useless against a bigger ship. So like, and when I say a bigger ship, I mean even a ship like the Warden is leagues beyond a fighter now, because of the fire capability that it has, as well as the shields and health that it has. Like there's no way that you can beat a Warden now when Rev brought it up. If both pilots are exceptionally skilled, and if one of them just has a better ship, essentially what's going to be a better ship, more guns, better shields, more HP, that guy's going to in the Warden is going to win 99% of the time against any other ship right now, because I just can't out damage that thing. I can't get away from its nose. Like I can't do anything in for instance, let's say my F7A. I can't do anything in my F7A to get the nose of that Warden off of me at all during the fight, so that he can't damage me and I can damage him or anything like that. There's no outplay potential at all there.
So it's a fine line, right, when we're talking about this stuff, because I hear what you're saying, and I do agree in a lot of ways. I feel like there's going to be tweaks. I feel like Master Modes is not a perfect system as it is. This is basically a tier, we'll call it a tier 2 iteration of the flight model, right? And it's going to have changes beyond this. This is basically the first change since the Star Citizen Renaissance, right? Which is really what this is.
Yeah, and it's even still potentially subject to being scrapped if they ultimately decide that it
may be, right?
Didn't meet the mark.
Here's the thing. It's a fine line, because if you make it to where let's take your example, and you're in a Gladius against a Warden, and you make it so it becomes viable to outmaneuver a Warden consistently enough to win a fight against it more often than not, then it takes away the purpose of getting into a Warden in the first place, right?
Well, I wouldn't say. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had more to say.
No, I was just saying that it's a fine line to find. I mean, we're talking about balancing on the edge of a knife edge here, right?
Mm-hmm,
because
right.
if you make it to where
splitting hairs, literally splitting hairs,
we are splitting hairs, right? It comes so close, because I can imagine where if you can maintain a distance of like sub 100 meters, then the Gladius should be able to outmaneuver. But if you start getting any further than that, then I feel like the Warden would be able to maneuver in such a way that at least its turret would be able to be on target, right? Like I'm talking like you have to be ridiculously close utilize that. And that takes a lot of skill on the side of the single pilot in a Gladius, right? Which is how it should be. If you have tremendous skill and you're going up against an average Warden pilot, you should be able to get in close, ride their ass, and stay there and make it happen. But it can't be something that just everybody can do.
No,
and
no,
really
and
what I'm trying to say.
and that's kind of that's what I'm agreeing with. That's where I'm going with that. Uh-oh, I think just timed out on Star Citizen.
Oh, yeah, that happens when
no.
we're podcasting.
I was inactive too long. No.
Yeah,
but
and Phaedron is saying Yogi admitted 1v1 isn't where it needs to be yet.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not arguing with that at all. I'm not saying that, obviously the game is going to continue to progress. It's not going to be like this forever, and we just have to deal with what is going on right now. But we have to talk about what's going on right now, and I think
Of course we
the
do.
fact of the
Absolutely.
matter is that we should definitely get out our opinions about where it should go from here. And so I think it should go from where it should go from here. Like the things I'm complaining about as being a fighter pilot, as being a guy that likes to do PvP in space combat, I think we need to make sure that we implement an outplay potential for the smaller ships, because if we don't, they're just not going to be effective at all in most scenarios, where they're going to be completely blown up in seconds, and they're not going to be useful.
I'm gonna bring up something else as well, right? This is a silly example to bring up, but are you familiar with RuneScape?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Everybody.
you're familiar with Evolution of Combat?
Yeah, I'm 33 years old, man. I don't.
Okay, good. So you know that after 2007 they had the whole like magic ranged and melee kind of triangle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Star Citizen combat in ships, I feel, should work loosely but similarly, right? Where let's talk. I'm gonna just divide into 3 categories, and obviously this is not a 1-for-1 comparison, but to keep it simple, we'll keep it small single seat fighters, call it medium sized craft, and then we'll call it like large subcap or bigger. Okay. Now I feel like if you're talking about create outplay potential, it's going to revolve around having variation within your fleet. And if you have these small ships, they're going to be useful against other small ships, right? You go up to the medium class, and those ships are going to be exceptional at dealing with those smaller craft, right? So medium ship kills small ship, okay? Big ship should be exceptional at dealing with those medium-sized ships. They've got huge guns. But the projectile velocity is probably slow. It takes time to power them up. But those medium-sized craft are not fast enough or armored enough to stand up to an onslaught from a capital ship, right? Now, on the flip side, a fighter swarm, if you got really, really close, I'm talking like Luke Skywalker in the Death Star situation, where the turret speeds on the big ships can't keep up. Or they can't outmaneuver you, right? If you're able to kind of tuck in there and get a handful of small ships to go and take out shield generators, for example,
or turrets,
weaponry, right? Or turrets, right? Then small ships can be the kryptonite to big ships, and so there's this kind of this trinity, this rock paper scissors game of big ship, smaller ship, smallest ship, right? To where you can outplay each other by just choosing which ship is appropriate for the situation, and that's how kind of I imagine it's going to go in the future.
Yeah, like a chess game,
to where exactly where
it's
everything
be
has a counter,
an organization chess game, but you can't
exactly.
really say you can't really put that same perspective into like a smaller group of individuals. Like, sure, like that's going to always make it to where numbers wins. That's what I'm afraid of, is it's always going to make it to where numbers wins, and there's no outplay
but
potential
here's
for
the
the people that have less numbers.
Why is it a bad thing that numbers win? If 10 players get together and put in a concentrated effort to do something, why should one player be able to just stop them?
Because of the rewards you get as for your skill, right? If there's no way to grow your skill, and there's no way for your skill level to outmatch the odds of, like, say for instance, like I've been in situations where it was just me as a solo pilot in pre 323, that I was going up against like eight other players in different ships by myself, and I survived that onslaught. But in 323, there's no way. If there's 8 dudes near me and I'm fighting 8 guys all at one time, they're gonna absolutely destroy me. There's nothing I can do. I have no outplay potential at all. there's nothing I can do at all. And
That
I
sounds
think
like
that
how it should be.
well, no, well, that's what I'm saying is like the difference is going to be that there's no rewarding level of skill play that you can do. Like there's no outplay potential at all to be able to survive that. Like you're just immediately immensely going to die. And in a PvP like competitive scene, then there's nothing I can do. Like that doesn't feel that's not fun to me. There's
Yeah.
just nothing I can do.
Yeah, well, I think Phaedron has a good point in that sometimes that outplay potential is recognizing it's time to run and getting the hell out of there.
That's exactly what I did do. I'm saying that they didn't kill me immediately. Like they didn't like there was an opportunity that they could have just eradicated me. There was an opportunity for them to kill me. However, they were not able to do so because I was able to outplay them. I got out of there with red, components. I was missing a wing, you know what I mean? Like I got
Yeah,
I
that
got
sounds
tore up.
appropriate for an 8v1. Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds
I got
appropriate.
tore up. I got tore up. I tore some of them up and I got tore up. It was a good battle and it was a lot of fun. There was some good skill involved. The other players were also very skilled. They were ready for PvP. I
Yeah,
did step into a bad situation. However, I was able to get out by outplaying them with skill. But
and that's good enough in that
and
situation, I think.
yeah, and that's good enough in that situation. Exactly what I was saying. I'm not saying that I should be one player able to kill all 8 of them by myself.
Good.
I'm not
That's
saying
what it felt
that.
like you were saying, and I
No,
thought you were
that's not
being
what I'm saying.
ridiculous. So
No,
I'm glad
what I'm
that's not what you're
saying
saying.
is that yeah, no,
Also,
that's
Chris,
not what I'm saying.
Chris, it is amazing to see you. I'm so glad you could hop in. Welcome to Redacted. I love seeing your name up there. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. That's
Good.
not at
That's
all
good.
where
I
I'm
thought
going
that's
with
what
that.
you were saying, and I was
No.
really worried that we picked the wrong guest this week.
You're fine. You're fine.
wrong,
What I was
wrong guest, man, harsh.
yeah, that was. I thought we were cool, bro. You let me in here. No, I'm
Well,
just
so
kidding.
did I, and then
Yeah,
you
this is the
started talking about I should be able to win 1v8.
This is the second time today that Devoid has taken the asshole card, and that's my job, and I don't appreciate it.
Oh man.
He said, I don't appreciate it.
Oh man, no, but just to kind of wrap up the master modes talk, I do feel like it needs tweaks. I think increasing the speed just a little bit would go a long way. But anyway, moving on. A couple of changes. Salvage got nerfed really, really heavy. That was kind of a big moneymaker in 322.
Was
I'm
totally
glad it got put in its place.
Totally was expecting it. Totally expecting that.
Yep, totally expecting. On the flip side, I have not experienced this personally, but it seems like mining is back on the menu, which is good. I'm excited to see that. I'm not that I'm a miner myself, but I'm excited to see the industrial game loops come into balance and actually have purpose and reason to do multiple industrial gameplay loops instead of monopolizing on salvage. We've also got fauna in. The first fauna, aside from the little roly-poly bugs, are in. We have copions and Meroc birds.
Yeah, I was looking forward to like going to kill some of those. I have seen one mission, I think, for killing copions.
Yeah. There's missions for killing copions. If you can kill them,
I just didn't want to go
take
into a
their
cave
horns.
to do it. So
they don't spawn in caves.
I'm pretty certain that this mission.
They may spawn in caves, but they spawn in plenty of other places as well, in forests and in.
Oh, I'm sure, but the one mission I saw, I'm pretty certain it said that they were in a cave.
Fair enough.
And I didn't want to go into the cave because fuck caves.
Yeah, Cyber agrees with you, so I'll concede to that. Yeah, Phaedron, we know Rev's Echo is the thing, but yeah, you kill the copions and you can take their horns. Apparently, those are worth a pretty penny. So if you have a spot where you can continually farm them, then a pack is probably going to yield you a couple $100,000, which is pretty cool.
That much?
Well, it's supposed to be, what I've heard, I haven't sold them yet, is 25,000 per horn.
Oh, that's pretty
And if you have 5 to 10 copions in a pack, decent money.
pretty
decent
decent money.
Um,
Now I want to go find some
So that
copions.
could be a lucrative way of making some money. Hopefully that doesn't get abused, but it probably will.
Oh no, it absolutely will. And now that you mention it, it makes sense that looting those would be high value because that seems to be the way that things go. They put in something new, they give you a reason to go do that gameplay loop, and typically it's going to be money based. So
Yep.
yeah, the fact that those horns would be high value makes sense. In a future patch or two, it'll probably be back off again.
Probably. Let me see what else. Cargo elevators did not make it in. Persistent hangars did not make it in. I was pretty disappointed by that, but I understand why. For those of you who don't know why they didn't make it in, there was a game-breaking bug where personal hangars just would not bring you your ships, which is a pretty big fucking deal. Because I mean that makes it so you can't leave the world. Also, Valkian, thank you so much for the sub. Massively appreciated. Yeah, it makes it so you couldn't leave world. So it was bad. So they had to kind of postpone those and polish the freight elevators.
So, quick question: Did that just fix my audio, guys? I just did something. Because if it did, then it wasn't what I thought it was, and fucking technical issues.
Classic. I guess we'll see, right? Yep, sounds great. Nice.
Yeah, I had two audio sources for myself. This is what was going on.
Silly goose. Nice.
I was totally blaming Jewel, and it wasn't his fault.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
Oh man. Okay, so 323. What else did 323 bring? Server
The new star map.
Oh, the fucking star map is huge. Have you had a chance, Rev, to play with the star map?
Dude, you can't not play with the star map if you're playing at all.
I know.
And there are things I like about it. There are some things that irritate the crap out of me about it. I will be honest. So
they're still fixing it.
Yeah, no, it is super cool. The pathing could still use a little bit of work. Generally speaking, it's pretty good. It's certainly better. Like, with the old system, if you were trying to get to a moon or something around Crusader, good fucking luck, right? You couldn't set a path. So the pathing is better. There are some things that you can't do. Like a couple of times I've taken missions in where with the old system you could select the last known location as a destination. That seems to be largely not a thing. Probably intentional. That's fine. It's still annoying.
Maybe. Just wait till they get quantum boost in. Then it won't matter.
It'll be well, unless somebody's on a planet. I'm not quantum boosting into a fucking planet. I don't know about you, but I think I
probably will.
I'll just a few times. But yeah, no, the maps are pretty cool. Pins. I'm looking, so you can set pins, right?
Yeah, with the Tiki.
Yeah, you can totally set a pin, but you can't do anything with it yet, which kind of blows. You might be able to set a route to your own pins, but I think when you leave and come back, they don't persist, so they're not a part of persistence. You can't share them.
Oh, really? That's a bummer.
Yeah, you can't share them with anybody yet. So that kind of sucks. Looking forward to being able to do that so that, like, as you're out and you find locations in space, you could set a pin in space. You could share it with your org and be like, here's our rendezvous point far away from fucking everybody. That'll be kind of fun, but can't do anything.
That I'm excited for because, I mean, we're talking about the future now, right? But when base building comes in, I really would like to be able to basically hand out coordinates for our base to our members. So people can be, oh yeah, set route and quantum to our base, right? And so I think that'll be kind of important. Obviously, it's not that important now, but I feel like it's not long until it is. So I am excited for that. I'm a little bit bummed that the pings don't last. Like they're not persistent. I feel like they should be. Cyber says 3D maps everywhere are so cool too. We have a mini map now.
Yeah, the mini map is super cool. That's constantly up in the top left corner.
Mini map now. We have compass.
Yeah.
We have an FPS compass now, which, coming from somebody who does a lot of FPS combat in Star Citizen, that was something that was miserable to go without. Especially doing something like Jump Town, when you say, "Hey, I'm getting shot. It's a dude on the hill. What direction?" Right? Because some of those Jump Towns, it's like 360 hills. And it's like up over there, behind the building. It's hard, right? So compass, we have a compass now. That's fantastic. And there's also like an angle like on the sides.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say that you not only get the bearing but also elevation.
Yeah. So just all around, lots of quality of life stuff.
Welcome back, Joel.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back.
I never left.
The Moby Glass in general, not just the star map.
Oh, yeah.
Huge upgrade.
Huge upgrade.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, so I'm told rep doesn't work quite right. I haven't seen any issues with it from what little bit I've done, but I haven't done a lot, right? Just a few missions, and I was able to get the rep I was expecting for those. Like there's a few new apps which are cool. Like there's one that shows your physical state and environment state with regard to gravity, oxygen, etc. in your environment.
Radiation.
Yep, all of that's pretty cool. So they had Knick-Knack still sucks, but they had
Yeah, it does.
the one where you can send money.
Oh, MO
Oh,
Trader.
Mo Trader.
Yeah, so Mo Trader's changed. It's but it's better, right? You can now actually just select from people in your group or your friends list. Just click and send them, so you don't have to like do a bunch of weird
Type it
looking
out.
for names and typing out, and that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the fact that you can now, like, if you have multiple ships in the game, like
Yeah.
at the same time, like actually spawned, you could see them in your Moby Glass. If you open up your Moby Glass, they have that little ship.
Yeah,
Um,
you can link.
You're
Little
talking like
screen.
your link there between your
Yeah.
ship and your Moby.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could
that's
see
pretty cool.
where your ship is in the verse. So if you have multiple ships out, like say for instance you leave on a smaller craft like the new Pulse or something like that, and you want to find, you can't remember where you parked your big ship, you could actually just pull it up. It'll show you how far away the ship is from you and everything. And I thought that was really cool.
I haven't played with
Uh,
that functionality. I didn't realize that was in there. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it actually tells you exactly how far away it is from you, and it'll tell you for all of your ships. It'll tell you how far they are away. Like
kidding.
for instance, if you have them stored at like Microtech and you're in Crusader, it'll tell you the distance between you and the ship. It's actually pretty
Oh
pretty
wow.
nice. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of the Pulse, I got one of those and I put it in my fucking Redeemer, which was cool as
Oh
shit.
yeah, because
'Cause-
it's so tiny.
Because
Yeah.
it's so, and I could walk around it on both sides with it sitting in my Redeemer, in my little berthing area.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
crazy. I haven't. I
Super
subscribed, so I've got one. I haven't pulled it out yet. That's good. We need more like small, like really small craft like that, right?
Yeah.
We got the Steve, which is fantastic, and that's a good size for like a 4-wheeled vehicle. The Pulse, if it is that small, sounds like a great size for like a motorcycle type thing.
Yeah.
I feel like in general, all the vehicles are like too large.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them doing something with the grav lift, the grav repulsor technology, because like I got in my little Pulse, and I'm cruising on probably Hurston or some shit, right? And I hit like just the tiniest little hill, just the tiniest little one, vault up in the air, super high, come down. There's nothing I could do to keep it from smashing into the ground and crashing. It's like, what the hell?
On the Pulse.
Yeah, on the Pulse.
Oh, that
so-
wasn't happening to me. I mean, I wasn't like slamming on the ground, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, where it just pops up and just goes way up in the air. Yeah.
Right. I feel like maybe it should be like exponential. The closer you are, the harder it pushes. So it'll like push down. And, okay, so that you just don't slam into the ground.
Yeah.
I feel like then
yeah.
they would have the issue of you would bounce and then bounce and then bounce and then bounce.
I was just
Maybe.
like up thrusting the entire time, or like I guess the equivalent, like if you're on mouse and keyboard, just holding space bar whenever I was going like down to the surface, and then it
That's
would.
what I do too when I'm in a dragonfly. I know that you can go like up and down.
Yeah,
I'm too fucking scared to skim the ground, so I'm like constantly up thrusting.
just up thrust the
every
whole time. Yeah,
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
get as high as
you don't
I
go
can.
quite as fast, but it's safer that way.
Yeah. No, I was max height too, but still, it slammed me into it.
Yeah, freaky.
I almost blew up a few times trying to put it into the 400i, because like if you remember, the 400i has that little slot for the X1, and I was like, oh, this would
yeah.
be perfect to put the Pulse in there.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
totally
what I
fits.
did.
I'm sure.
Yeah, perfect.
There's got to be a way for it to like for you to kind of center it appropriately in there, because like
Yeah,
with-
because you could mess it up if you like don't get it fully in there and then close the door and then it
yeah, and
crushes your bike.
yeah, and the way that the thrusters work, I mean, like pushing sideways, it's like push and you slide, and you're like push and slide. You're like, get in the spot where I
Yeah.
want you to be, you little piece of crap.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little finicky for sure, but it's a nice little bike. I like
It
it a
is.
lot.
It was fun for the minute and a half I was on it.
Yeah, but it's actually a really nice craft. We did a little bit of testing with it. It only picks up on radar at sub 150 meters. You can't pick it up on radar unless you're that close to it.
Nice.
So it's very sneaky, very sneaky little bike.
Have you tried taking it into space at all yet?
Yeah, we took it into space. It flies, very well. Did a comm relay shutdown on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it flies really, really good. I will say though, if you are gonna fly it, don't forget to fly it coupled, because if you get off of it and it's decoupled, it'll just keep going, and you'll lose it. You can ask Hito about that one.
Fun.
So
He
we've
found
talked
that out.
we've talked 323. 323.1, the Invictus launch week patch is already in PTU, and there's a pretty significant change that's coming with that, in that all tiers of medical beds in 323.1 will be able to utilize the regen feature. The way that they're balancing that is via range, right? So like tier 3 beds such as the Cutlass Red, the Medical Pisces, and now the new Medical Ursa, which is coming out 323.1. Spoilers. We'll be able to regen at about 20 kilometers. Tier 2 beds like the Carrick and 890 will regen at about 50 kilometers. And then tier 1 beds, which are going to be only hospitals for now, it seemed to have unlimited range. We'll see how that works out. But yes, Cyber, we can regen with Cutlass Reds now.
And the Pisces,
news.
yeah.
Yep. That is fresh news. There's some people who think that they're only doing that to boost sales for the medical Ursa, and then they're going to reverse it later. What do you guys think?
I think that's probably true. Yeah, I think that's probably true.
I try not to be that cynical. I think they probably just have heard a lot of feedback about those beds being largely useless since you can't respawn at them, and they're trying to find a way to see if they can bring that back with a reasonable restriction on it.
Well, look, I have a fix for that. Okay, I have a goddamn fix for that. You go unconscious, right? You get shot up, you lose consciousness, you go down, you're bleeding out. The idea, right, is that like a med pen can like revive you, right? And like a med gun can revive you. Well, fix that by making med pens stabilize you. They don't revive you. Okay, med guns can stabilize you, not revive you, right? Maybe there's like different levels in that, and you get more nuanced. But in order to actually wake up, you got to be dragged to a bed, right? That makes sense for me. Is it brutal? Maybe, but people would value their fucking lives, and they would bring medical supplies and equipment, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, Death of a Spaceman, when they bring that in, will help you to value your life. Hopefully, when they bring that in, if they do it right, which I'm optimistic.
I hope so.
But
and going back to, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, because but when you're out there by yourself, and especially you're like a newer player, you can't afford a Carrick. But maybe you can afford a Cuddy, or maybe you can afford the Pisces because it's real small and handy, and it gets in there. Then at least you'd have a way to have something that you could spawn back to.
Rev, we're talking 323.1 and Invictus. I know that I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you pull up our screen share? Let me get you the link so you can actually see it here. But share screen, entire screen. This one.
Did you connect it up? Did you connect it up to your feed?
I did. This is a big fucking deal that I just saw. This is the Invictus floor in 323.1.
Ooh. That's a really big deal.
They put it in there.
That's a physical ship.
That's a ship. Yeah. It's in there. This is the RSI room.
Nice.
Does this mean
Cyber
that
says,
like
"Oh my word."
does this mean that it's actually gonna
Is it
be
flyable? Don't know. Don't know.
Uh,
And frankly, this is only a picture. I have no explanation for this.
I don't think it's flyable. They did say that they're gonna have it flying around like ahead of the fleet, so it's probably going to be out there with the Bengal flying around.
right?
I do know that they're planning on having an Idris that you can walk around in.
Yes.
And this
Yes.
the javelin's probably going to be there again too. Yeah.
Yeah, probably still
Probably.
restricted in what you're able to get. I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if they have anything extra in there.
Yeah, he just says steal it. Now, I haven't actually said the name of the ship. For those of you who probably don't know, this is RSI Polaris. This is kind of the subcap RSI gunship, I suppose. It's got like a Scorpius hanger on the top there.
Torpedo
Uh,
boat.
Torpedo boat. Yeah. I've said before, I'll say it again. I firmly believe that this ship right here is going to be the closest that most groups come to like a capital ship. This is going to be the most common um org flagship that we see in the verse in terms of just its size and its utility. This is going to be the go-to ship. Most
Initially, for
groups aren't going
sure.
to be able to. Oh yeah, and even like deep into the game, I think this is going to be the most common ship for that purpose. Just because I mean, most groups are not going to be able to muster 20, 30 guys to run an Idris, a Kraken, a Javelin, right? It's just not going to happen. Every once in a
Yeah, I
while,
agree with
you'll probably
Phaedron
see one
there.
of those. What did Phaedron say? I think it's a capital.
Yeah,
It's the Perseus that is
The
subcap.
Perseus.
It may be.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think
Perseus
you're right.
is what I
But
think is going
my
to be
point
the main.
stands in that I think this is going to be the most common capital class ship in the verse. This is going to be one of those that kind of defines the game, and I think it needs to be good. So I'm very excited to see it being this close. I mean, that looks just about done for me. They're probably
Right.
at a guess without seeing it or having any news on it whatsoever. They're probably done with things like final art and white box, gray box. It looks like they're done at
yeah,
least.
yeah. Based on
They're
where it is, I wouldn't be surprised to see it in the next major patch.
Yeah, they're probably working on like flight models and balance and engineering, right? They're probably working on all that kind of stuff, end game stuff. So yeah, next major patch guaranteed, which I believe is going to be 4.0.
5% chance it's straight to flyable.
I'll take that. I'll take that. 5%.
I'd lose my mind if it went straight to flyable.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just an exciting picture that Link Rebel 25 from the PFC shared into our Discord here, and so I wanted to share it. So thank you, Link Rebel. Don't know if you're watching, but appreciate it.
Yeah, I knew that they were kind of featuring that it was basically ready, but I didn't, and I heard somewhere that it was going to be on the floor, but I hadn't seen anything that confirmed that. So it's nice to see that picture.
Yeah, it is nice to see that picture. It's awesome. I'm so excited to see it.
It makes me want to go get into the PTU now and go see.
I know, right? I should have access to it. If I had time later tonight, I probably would. Oh, look at that! I think he is. I think he is watching. Something on the showroom floor isn't flyable, so there's a non-zero chance. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
5%.
Phaedron's with you. There's 5%. Oh goodness gracious. Are we expecting? I guess now is the time we'd find out. Typically, we do get sort of a surprise release. I know that there's the Ursa rover. We're seeing this here. Do we have any other kind of?
I have no reason to guess any particular ship, but with the changes that they made to the beds, the knowledge that they're coming out with the medical Ursa, the potential that a straight to flyable could be one of the Apollos.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, the Apollo's they've been
Phaedron just brought it up. Phaedron just brought it up. I forgot about this as well. I saw earlier today there is a new Saber variant coming out, so that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
It's a missile variant.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Jules like, what? Ew.
Okay.
I could read it on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Now we have a
shares
new
the same
Talon Strike
chassis
competitor,
as,
I guess.
It shares the same chassis as the Saber Raven, so it's that same kind of shape. It's like white and red and black. It's pretty cool looking. So yeah, that's going to be out. Yeah, exactly.
Going to be the competitor to the Talon Strike, I'm assuming, or something like that.
Hopefully, Talon Strike needs to be put in his place. Piece of shit.
It's pretty OP. Yeah, that thing is.
I
Well,
really
that the
hate that shit.
Cuddy Blue has a pretty insane missile boat too.
It does. Andromeda does too. I need to see how missiles are this patch. We know that server FPS, well, I say FPS, I mean server performance has been better. We know the AI is behaving better. I'm curious to see how missiles do. I mean, I don't mean to take us back to the whole master modes thing, right? But
I haven't been
I
able
can
to hit
speak on
with
it.
missiles for shit.
that's not saying much.
I was going to say the opposite.
Oh yeah.
Well, with PV like the PVE, missiles are hitting a lot more frequently. I've seen them. They do a little bit of a pass. They'll go past it, and then they'll wrap back around and slam into it. I've seen that happen more consistently. I was with the 400i, which, if you didn't know, also has a large missile payload, and I was using that, and it's actually pretty okay fighting ship, to be honest with you. And especially in this new master modes where you're moving a lot slower. So that's the thing too, is like expect to take damage now. You have to expect to take damage now. In just about every engagement that I've done with ERTs or HRTs or anything else, you can expect to be going back to a station now and repairing. Like it's going to be more difficult for you to avoid taking any kind of damage, especially now that more ships are running ballistics. More ships are like you said a second ago, that the PVE ships are much more responsive, and they're accurately targeting you and firing rounds at you a lot more frequently. They're grouping up a little bit better now too, so it's hard to peel them away from each other, so you can fight them one on one. So yeah, it's definitely you're gonna expect to take damage now, but the missiles are definitely working, and they're targeting you too. And it sucks that it's still a little bit of desync issues going on where you can't really flare them off as good, but just like that was happening before though, so it's still happening. It's kind of hard to flare off missiles still.
Yeah. What's that little mining ship again? I can't for the life of me remember it. It was just in my.
Prospector?
Yeah. Unless you're in a prospector, in which case you're a little fucking tank for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. It's so hard to
Probably
kill.
just a typo.
No,
The prospectors.
let me tell you, I was in my Redeemer. All right.
Uh-huh.
I should be able to take out a prospector fairly easy in a Redeemer. And it took so long. I was in a couple of missions, and it's like so long to kill a fucking prospector. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's probably just a typo in the hit points or something. Kind of like how the Retaliator for a long time was just an absolute monster in terms of hit points.
And the Cuddy Black too.
Was
The
it?
the Cuddy Black. Oh God, you could not kill that. You could like put 584Bs, 684Bs, 85Bs on a Corsair and shoot a Cuddy Black. If you were hitting it in the torso, it would essentially do no damage to that thing. It was like a
No
bug
kidding. I
that was
didn't realize
going on
that.
for a long time. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, they
Drake
were.
Power, right?
Yeah, Drake for the win. They fixed it though, so the Cuddy Black doesn't
Oh,
do that anymore. But
bummer. Yeah.
yeah, but you had to shoot it in the nose, so like it was not taking any damage at all in the body for a while. Yeah, that was happening. And then I was gonna say too, Rev, the Starfarer is another really tanky ship for no reason, just like stupid tanky. It's hard as crap
But
to
that,
kill
I mean,
that
that
thing.
sort of makes sense.
That's a big fucking beefy ship, though.
It's like a military refueler, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but you would think that thing, when it blows up, it should have a bigger explosion than the.
I would go for that, sure. And maybe there's a few
Yeah.
spots on it that, like, if you hit one of those fuel pods, like
Yeah.
maybe that should be a weak point, But
Yeah, you shoot a fuel pod, that thing should go all up and like just set off like a nuke. Like it should just blow up. All that
Maybe
quantanium
we'll
on
get
there.
that with like a gold standard pass or something.
Or I guess maybe they're trying to say, quantum fuel is like more refined than quantanium, so
yeah,
it's
it's
not
more
as
stable.
volatile.
Yeah,
Yeah, more stable.
yeah. Even still, but you hit a fuel pod. I agree. Boom.
Yeah, it should go up. It should be like you could turn that thing into what does MD say all the time? A size 11 torpedo. just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fly it into somewhere and just let it blow up. It'd be fun. That'd be
So,
funny.
yeah, I mean, just to kind of to wrap this up here, right? It feels like we are getting into like the Star Citizen Renaissance. It is very exciting. Um, as we get these squadron features put in, we're starting to see the first implementations of a lot of the long awaited features.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about replication layer.
Yeah, we didn't talk about replication layer, right? The fact that they've all but killed 30Ks is huge. The 30K has been plaguing Star Citizen for over a decade now.
Yeah, they're not gone.
And
They're not
no,
gone, but they are rare.
they are rare.
Er.
And most of the time when you do experience a server crash, it recovers into a new server. So you feel it for a couple minutes and then it's done.
That's what I was going to say about the 30Ks. Even though they're still around, and there probably will be for a very long time, but the
Yeah.
fact that the matter that you're not losing so much now from it is
Right,
definitely
exactly. And not
progress,
even
and
like
that's
so
great.
much just in terms of things like money and cargo, but time, right?
Yeah, time.
30Ks have been a huge time killer because you'll prepare for half an hour, quantum jump 10 minutes across the system, then you 30K, you got to do it all over again.
Got to do
We're
it
not
all
getting
over
that
again.
now, right? And with the replication layer, I mean, it's improving server performance and it's like the backbone in terms of technology for the next steps as we get into actual server meshing, right? I feel like the hard work for server meshing is done. The crash recovery, the persistent entity streaming, we have that now. The hard part is done.
Yeah. So
And
here a little while back, they did a tech preview with actual meshing.
yeah,
And that was really cool. That there's just a small
And it-
issue with dropping out of quantum as you cross server zones. Like at that point, there was cases where you try to quantum out of your server onto another one, and it just kept dropping you, kept dropping you, kept dropping you, and you'd get stuck. But once they figure that out, I don't see having major issues.
yeah, and I mean, it was kind of crazy. I was watching a video where somebody was like recording, and they were talking like, "Holy shit, dude! I just swapped into a different server because you have your display info up." And for
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, you can pop up your little information, and it has all of your session information. It gives you a shard ID number. And dude was playing, and he found the threshold where it goes from one server to the next, and he watched his shard ID change, and he's like, "Son of a bitch, we just hopped servers instantaneously." It was just like it was just a big moment, right? To see that you're traversing from one server into the next, and it changes
Super
and it
cool.
works. Yeah, super cool, and we're entering into a new era, and it is very very exciting. There's a lot of large names who are now paying attention to Star Citizen. So CIG, all eyes are on you. Don't fuck it up.
Right.
Kind of what I'm ending on. So
Yepers.
anything anybody else would like to say here as we close it out today?
Yeah, I think that 323 overall is really good. I'm excited for what's coming next. I'm really looking forward to freight elevators and instance hangars. That's like I'm sure that everybody probably has the same sentiment there, but that's like the number one thing I'm ready for, is just to
Mhm.
kind of like have a space that I can call my own in the verse.
Yeah, that'll be a big one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be like kind of the rooting factor in I think most players like attachment to the game.
I think so too.
Yep.
I think that persistent hangers is going to be big. Once we can select shards, I'm just gonna start camping in one spot on one planet and start like a little mini settlement of just ships. um, but yeah, I agree with your sentiments. So, but with that being said, I think we're gonna wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that it's been a little bit. I'm hoping to do this roughly every 8 days. I've got a little bit of a rotating schedule going on, and so I think I should be off 8 days from now on Tuesday. So that's the plan. I think if that works out with Rev.
Yeah, we'll make that work. Absolutely.
So yeah,
So in honor of Invictus launch week, we're going to end this one with Guardians of the Stars. one of the songs that I came up with. So thanks everybody for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next time. And catchphrase. Catch you later.
Catchphrase.
Through the asteroid fields across the nebulous glow, our ships defend the realms where lesser dare not go. From Pirates Cove to Silent Void, where